Hello, I'm Bill. Today I'm going to talk about two-hand pose recognition that's available in OVR SDK, how to use it, and some enhanced debug visual scene that I created to help me create and troubleshoot hand poses. So let's get started. Focus on the left-hand side. When you import the Oculus SDK, under Interaction, Runtimes, Script, Pose Detection, there is a script called Joint Distance Active State right here. For this script, there is one sample in the prefab that uses it, but it's not in any of the scenes, so you have to put it in your own scene to try it out. It's under Samples, Prefab, Hand Pose, Frame Pose Two Hands. And that's how I found out about this script, just by accident. Hopefully they do a better documentation on this. I've asked in the forum and no one has responded in 4 days. So I went ahead and figured it out myself. And then I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna post the answer to my question. So how does this work? If you look at their prefab, it's a lot of things, but I'll go through an example that I created. And this is how you test the script in its simplest form. In this thumb tip object, all I have is 4 scripts attached. Hand reference, which you grab from the Oculus SDK, assign left hand, attach a script again, assign right hand, and then active state selector, thumb tip eye active state, and that is set to the joint distance active state, which is this script here. The active state selector turns true when this joint distance active state script is true. In the joint distance active state, you assign the 2 hands to it. So for me, it's hand A is left hand, hand B is right hand. And for each hand, there's a drop down for ID, joint ID. You select which joint on hand A touches which joint on hand B. And when those 2 joints touches, then this state becomes true. That will turn this active state selector true. And when this is true, if we go to the visual, this debug, I have in the scene a box that will turn green when the eye active state for the thumb tip will turn green. So if you look at the list of joints, there's a lot of them, and to help you understand what all these means, I've created this scene. So alright, so left hand, right hand, index finger touching my pinky tip. So pinky tip and pinky 3, pinky 2, pinky 1, pinky 0 is all the way down here. Wow. Oh. Can't turn too far. And as you move your hand, you can see the states turn green. And some of them sometimes overlap because the radius of the joint, that it's a setting you can change. You can make the radius smaller and there will be less chance of overlap, but you have to play with it. So there's ring finger, here's middle finger, tip, middle 2, middle 1, index tip. So what's the difference between tip and index 3? Tip, you actually don't have to touch. I guess if you adjust the circle, tip turns on first, index, then 2, and 1 is the same. And then you have thumb 0. Where's thumb 0? Oh, before I go to that, max skinnable. I have no idea what that means, but it's the same as the tip. And when you press thumb tip in the field, it will change to max skinnable. So here's max skinnable, tip, and thumb 3 all turned green when I touch, physically just touching my thumb tip. Now going down, thumb 2, thumb 1, and then thumb 0 is all the way down here. And lastly, there's 4 more at the bottom: hand start, wrist root, forearm stub, and hand end. So there you go. Hand start, wrist root, forearm stub, all turn green. I guess, okay. They all turn green at the same time. I don't know what the difference is. And also, where is hand end? I have no idea. I've touched my hand all over with my index finger to a point where I'm feeling a little bit creeped out by my own touch, and I still couldn't find it. Where's hand end? I don't know. If anybody knows, please leave a message. But okay. So there you go. I made this scene to learn all the joint locations and how sensitive it should be, and you can play with this. I'll make this available on GitHub. So one thing I'd like you guys to try is look at this. So when you have the scene, what you saw that window is 2 hands touched left with right index, and every single joint on the left hand is here, and the right hand is all index tip, as you can see here. So that's how the scene works. What I like you guys to experiment with is the distance, threshold width, and min time state. Probably not that one. It's pretty accurate. The distance and width is probably something I would play with when I try to fine tune the game more to have more accuracy. So that's it for joint distance active state. So the next thing I want to show you guys is the enhanced debug visual scene. You just saw the 2 hand section, and there are more stuff on the other side. So let me zoom out, go to here, and if you looked at my previous videos, I've went over this before. I mapped out every single thing in the shape recognizer and shape transform. So I'll zoom in a little bit more. The top section is hand transform. I'm not gonna go over every single item on this scene. In one of my previous videos, I've gone through this enhanced debug scene. This is the same thing. I'm just adding something to the left of this scene. So let's take a look. So I'm in the scene. If you look to your left, there are 3 additional event windows that I'm trying to capture when a gesture, a pose, or a sequence have been triggered. If you go into the hierarchy under Gameology space, One Hand Manager, here are all the one hand pose that I have created. And when each of those pose is detected in the events wrapper, I trigger a debug window item, and I'm passing in a string to show that a pose has been detected. So if basic pose 1 is detected on the pose event trigger, on the pose trigger event window, this string will pop up here and repeat for the rest of One Hand Manager. And there are also Two Hand Manager, is where I keep the two hand poses. And similarly, in the event wrapper, I've added two hand dash triangle as the description. So when the pose triangle is detected, this string will show up in here. Moving on. Gesture Manager. There's nothing groundbreaking in the gesture. It's actually a prefab from the Oculus SDK, but in the future, I'm going to add more gestures under this manager. And similarly, in the event when this is triggered, the swipe left string will show up in the gesture trigger event. And then lastly, as part of my Ninja Academy game that I'm making, I have spells. So square, triangle, circle is the sequence event. That string will go into the sequence trigger when it detects. So that's how the scene is set up. Let's jump into the headset. All right, so middle part first. Nothing has changed since the last video. I think I made it a little bit cleaner, but let's do the right side first. Anytime your finger changes state, you'll see all those lights flashing up, green and red like a Christmas tree. Here's just index finger. Open, close. Open, close. And this is helpful when you want to do, so I'm not going to go into that. So that's the new addition. 1, 2, fist, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. I see. 3 doesn't work well because I made the thumb and the pinky opposition as one of the requirement. And when you see I do 3, focus on the pinky opposition. Pinky opposition touching is not very reliable. So in order to do a 3, so 3, so like right here, pinky is only registered as near, not touching. So that's why it's not triggering it consistently. All right, let's try the gesture trigger event. Swipe right, swipe left. Whoa, I just hit my mic. Swipe left, swipe, swipe. All right, so let's do a sequence. Circle, triangle, cross. Circle, circle. There we go. Circle, there it is. Earth. Let's do ice. square, triangle, circle. Nice. Alright, last one. Cross, square, triangle, fire. And the gesture is gonna go crazy, but see, it's pretty accurate, except for that one. All right, so that's all the updates I've done on the enhanced debug visual scene. I will do some cleanup before making it public. I will share it maybe at the end of the week. As you can see, there's lots of garbage that I need to clean up. And also, I want to make this a library of sorts where people can just import and have all the posts that I've created. It'll be sometime end of the week. Download it, play with it, give me feedback, and maybe even add some posts of your own and send me a pull request. Contribute to my library. All right, that's it. Thanks. See ya.